Despite the casual voice, the carefully maintained distance, it sounded closer to a plea than I was used to. "I'll arrive tomorrow," I said, making up my mind. "If you're sure." She betrayed no relief, however, no welcome. "I'm sure." "Very well." I paid the phone call's ransom into Donald's stringy outstretched palm and returned to my laden, ancient and battered four-wheel drive outside. It had good gears, good brakes, good tyres, and little remaining colour on its thin metal flanks. It contained, at that moment, food for 2 weeks, a big cylinder of butane gas, supplies of batteries, bottled water, and insect killer, and 3 brown cardboard boxes, parcel delivery, replenishing the tools of my trade. I painted pictures. I lived in a broken-down, long-deserted shepherd's hut known as a bothy, out on a windy Scottish mountainside, without electricity. My hair grew to my shoulders. I played the bagpipes. My many and fairly noble relations thought me weird. Some are born weird. Some achieve it. Others have weirdness thrust upon them. I preferred solitude and paint to outthinking salmon and shooting for food. I had only half inherited the country skills and courtesies of my ancestors. I was the 29-year-old son of the dead 4th son of an earl, and I had no unearned wealth. I had 3 uncles, 4 aunts, and 21 cousins. Someone in such a large and conventional family had to be weird, and it seemed I'd been elected. I didn't mind. Mad Alexander messes about with paints, and not even oils, my dear, but those frightfully common acrylics. If Michelangelo could have laid his hands on acrylics, I said, he would have joyfully used them. Acrylics were endlessly versatile and never faded. They outlived oils by furlongs. Don't be ridiculous, Alexander. I paid my uncle, the present earl known as himself, a painting a year as rent for the ruin I inhabited on his estate. The painting was done to his choice. He mostly asked for portraits of his horses or dogs. I quite liked to please him. Outside the post office, on that dry, cloudy, cold morning in September, I sat in my old Jeep-type jalopy and did my paperwork, opening my letters, answering them, and sending off the replies. There were 2 cheques that day for work delivered, which I dispatched to the bank, and an order from America for 6 more paintings to be done at once, like yesterday. Ridiculous Mad Alexander, in his weird way, actually quietly prospered, and I kept that fact to myself. The paperwork done, I drove my wheels northwards, at first along a recognisable road, then a roughly gravelled stretch, then up a long, rutted and indistinct track, which led nowhere but to my unnamed home in the Mona Lea Mountains. Between Loch Ness and Avermore, I usually explained, and no, I hadn't seen the monster. Whoever in the mists of time had first built my bothy had chosen its position well. It backed straight into an elbowed granite outcrop that sheltered it from the north and east, so that winter blizzards mostly leapfrogged over the top. In front lay a sort of small, stony plateau that on the far side dropped away steeply, giving me long views of valleys and rocky hills, and of a main road far below. The only problem with the road, that served to remind me that an outside world existed, was that my dwelling was visible from it, so that far too often I found strangers on my doorstep, hikers equipped with shorts, maps, half-ton walking boots, and endless energy. There was nowhere left in the world unpenetrated by inquisitive legs. On the day of my mother's postcard, I returned to find 4 of the nosy species poking around without inhibition. Male, blue, scarlet, orange backpacks, glasses, English regional voices. The days when I offered tea, comforts, and conversation were long gone. Irritated by the invasion, I drove onto the plateau, stopped the engine, removed my keys from the ignition, and walked towards my front and only door. The 4 men stopped peering into things and ranged themselves into a ragged line ahead of me across my path. "There's no one in," one of them called.